Hey, it's Don, the Auction Professor here. Welcome to the show, everybody. Again, it's going to be just a typical show here. I'm going to throw in a video of some haul items that I got here. Some of it's I've talked about before. I just picked these up today, and I'm going to talk about it here in just a little bit here. The wife will be on as well in just a little while, too. Ian's here like he always is. I've got some other things that we've got going on. Let me think here. Let's see. Next week, Ian's going to answer some questions here because I've had several people ask about employees, how they feel, what do they think about it too. So Ian will be on talking a little bit next week. Let's see here. Big thing here for those of you who do RA, FBA, or anything like that, or even are trying to set yourself up for Christmas and next year and all these clearance sales going on right now. Now's the time to get all these clearance items right now. If you weren't aware of that, this is when all the fourth quarter stuff is on clearance. I was literally just supposed to be shopping at Walmart, and I ended up coming home with a whole buggy full of stuff. They're down cheap right now. I was getting stuff for $1 to $4 and $5 each for each items, and I bought multiples. I bought a bunch of vinyl Dunnies. I bought a bunch of Mega Man. I bought Beyblades. Oh geez, I bought like 10 different items there that were like dirt cheap, and all $4 or less, with original retail in the $15 to say $30 range. These are stuff you can flip on eBay if you're not aware. For those of you who are not gated, you can do them on FBA as well too, some of these items. We've been sending stuff into FBA for a while now. I don't talk about it a lot just because I love the antiques and collectibles, so I guess that's the difference here. I don't mind FBA, and it's great money, so I'll always do stuff like that. But, my fun stuff is doing the antiques and collectibles. I love going to, an antique mall and walking around and stuff. If you didn't see the video that we just put out with my son, you'll get to see him for just a few moments in there. He's not a big camera person, so he's a little shy. But I have a link right down below this live feed here, too. So it's down in the comments if you'd like to go to that video and check it out at some point. The big thing here is, now I talked about these. If you didn't see the video, you don't know what I'm talking about, but I bought some hubs. They're die hubs. They're for stamping actual metal designs, little pins, little badges, and things. And literally, I bought 3 of them just to make sure, it wasn't way off. And after looking these up and seeing prices on all these, I went back, I made an offer on all these that he had, and I ended up coming home today with 34 of these for $5 a piece. So why don't we just show that over there? Why don't we just run over, and we're going to show you some close-ups on these right now. So here's the actual haul. I actually showed these in a haul video that I posted just the other day. I actually have a link down below for anybody who wants to watch it when the live show is done. And this is literally what I did. I went back after buying just a few of these. Let's see if you can see them very well. And I made them an offer on all of them. I even had it pending. I was waiting for them to get back. They're all averaging $8.50 to say $12.50 a piece. I purchased these all for $5 a piece, basically. So, I can't go wrong. I showed this as well. Now, these are actually stampers that you'd use to stamp out in metal. And I'm going to show you, where is it? There's one in here. I can show you the finished product. This is it right here. Let me get a good close-up on it so you can see it better. And this one right here, you can see the actual finished product, which I can still do. We do melt silver here. My son has a kiln. We do sterling quite often. Any sterling scrap that I get, he actually just ends up melting down. We'll sell it in bars or whatever, we want to do with it at the time. But there's a whole bunch of these. Like this one here, you can see the price on just the actual item goes for $64. And it was on a buy it now. It was a quick sell right away. So some of these are going to sell for a ton of money. Like this one here, I'm expecting to get at least 50. Very, very low end. 75 is more realistic on this, to say 150 or better. These are just things you don't see. There's Pythian's Sisters, which is here, service pins. Now, these pins, the actual pin that was stamped off of these go for 20 or 30 bucks. So, again, you can make these still today with these actual stampers. So, that's a key thing here. There's ones from actually the city. There's some from actual employees of Toledo area. There's safety patrol ones here. And again, all of these you can actually look up and you can find comparable ones that were actually made into ornaments or jewelry or necklaces or pendants or medals. All of these are exactly what this is. There's Knights of Columbus, there's Epithians, there's service pins for all kinds of little organizations. There's actually 34 of these that I purchased at $5 a piece. He threw in this wooden drawer, which is just going to get burned or something. But anyway, this is the haul. This is a lot of money here. At 34 a piece, I have roughly 100 and what would that be? Like 165, no tax because I showed my ID. So I've got 165 into all of these. At the low end at $10 a piece, and that's the way low end. Even some of these, like this is from the newspaper here with the blade, the main newspaper name, 15-20 bucks minimum. So even at $10 a piece, and we're being very optimistic, at $10 a piece, there's $340 worth of these here. And I can pretty much assure you I'll get at least double that just on these here, maybe triple or quadruple that. I mean, I'm not really sure on a few of these just because they never show up. Now, these are still, as I said, we can still use these for something like the Native American one in here. I may go into that in my Patreon group for those in Patreon. I'll show you what I might do with these here, because this could be a huge money maker for us, in my personal opinion, from what I see. And if you cast something off of these, they're one-offs, so there'd actually be a piece of artwork. So, you know, it's a little different. There's no copyrights on these, the actual dies at all. Some of the newer ones, they always stamp the actual maker's name, so you can't use them. But these are all early. These are circa 1900, I'm guessing, from some of them, like this thing here. They're really early styled. These are all fraternal of some sort, but I'm guessing 1900 through to like 1920-ish from everything I see here, and known dates on some of these pieces, finished items. So anyway, that's the haul here. We'll flip back over. Well, that's kind of the biggest haul this week so far. Money-wise, I'm expecting to get quite a bit out of these. And I see a question here from SP. Am I planning on keeping any of these? I'm going to keep, I think, 4 of them we've decided on. I'm going to show in our Patreon group what we actually do with these. You'll get to see probably some melting of sterling and things like that maybe in one video or something. But I try to split up content for some things. I don't do a lot of crafts on here. I am going to be doing a craft video for everybody, and it's how to make Victorian Christmas ornaments. The beginning of the video, and I've already got some of it shot. I've got everything here. I've already started to construct it and put the videos together. The beginning of the video is going to actually show you what these things sell for with perfect examples of actual sales on eBay. The item I'm going to show how you to make is something that people do every single year. It's something that sells across the board. I know people that sell the same item I'm going to show you in this video on Amazon, Etsy, and they cross-list as well onto eBay. Same exact item, something you can make at your house, very little time. It'll take a little bit of skill depending on, you know, your abilities to cut wood or something. There's a few pieces of wood that would be involved in this, but I'm going to show you something really interesting, and hopefully that'll give some people some ideas on some other avenues to make money, because on many occasions I get people telling me that they're out in the sticks or something. We're out in the sticks too, but you know, it's a little bit of a drive to get somewhere. But I know so many people, a lot of people see I do some artsy stuff. I'm sure if you haven't watched all my videos, you haven't seen just a minuscule amount of some of the art we do. We've got a lot of artsy friends. We do the art museums and stuff like that. So I've got people that we know that do stuff that would be bizarre to most people, and they make a ton of money at it. So everything, there's so many options. I mean, it's puzzling when somebody tells me, I guess, that they can't make any money because, you know, you can make something yourself. I could give you 50 different items, you know, probably in the top, right off the top of my head in just a matter of moments here. I've given some lists in my Patreon group too on some things that we've actually done. When I point out stuff that, like making stuff, casting stuff, I only talk about stuff that I either personally do myself or that I personally know somebody who does. I'm not going to give you something that I haven't seen a working example of it. So I know a lot of people show you things that you can do this, you can do that, but they don't know the ins and outs of it. If I'm showing you something, it's something that I've personally done. I'm actually probably going to share in my Patreon group too. My son does some videos here, and I'm probably going to maybe share one of his in my Patreon group. And it's going to show you how to cast metal from start to finish with the kiln, or other means too, because you can do this with softer metals that you can just buy, like zinc and things like that. But I'm going to add some different content into some of my Patreon videos, and I'm going to show some different things here as well too. So I've got a lot of comments on showing crafts and some of the other items that we do on the side. Because I've got toys that are going live. Literally, as soon as my Kickstarter's done, it's going live. The Kickstarter didn't go anywhere, but we've got some other plans with Kickstarter. I've talked about it before. I don't care if something doesn't succeed the first time. I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to see what happens. I'm going to throw all my cards out on the table, and maybe my Trilobite didn't make a ton of money there. It's a toy. I wasn't expecting anything. It's just, let's try it out and see what happens. I did get some really good contacts from going on Kickstarter. I got some very big help from Annie for one, and then from several people who have done a bunch of Kickstarters who liked my idea, and recommended some other avenues for Kickstarter. So I'm going to touch again on Kickstarter here when we have some more going live. I'm not going to give out too much on that yet because it's all being worked on right this moment. But there's people that literally just make a living doing Kickstarters, one Kickstarter to the next. These are artistic people. These are people who do like little craft items and things. There's a lady who does dodo birds on Kickstarter. Just type in dodo birds. She funds everything she does. And there's tons of people that have 15, 20 Kickstarters a year. You can have as many as you want. There's 7 of these types of sites as well, too. So, there's people that do that. I mean, there's just so much that people can do online. I'm always surprised that someone, emails me and says, hey, and no offense to anybody that says, hey, I don't know what to sell. I can't find anything. Again, you can make it. I've made stuff when we couldn't find stuff. Nowadays, we don't have savers or anything, so we've branched out into what you see, which is antiques, collectibles, and things like that. And then wholesale is the biggest chunk of our business right this minute. eBay is a smaller chunk nowadays than wholesale. It used to be the other way around. We haven't slacked off, and we're not selling less on eBay. We're just selling more wholesale, which has now surpassed our eBay. So, and as I started just a little bit ago in the conversation, now's the time to buy Christmas and set yourself up. If you're interested in wholesale, you're doing FBA and you want wholesale, now's the time to do it. You just got to get this stuff going. We already signed ours last year in December and stuff. So, wholesale is literally where the money's at. If you can get 100 or 200 of the same item at a reasonable price that's going to sell over and over again, it sure beats me hunting out and finding 100 different items from 100 different spots. So that's at least what I look at it, my personal thinking on that. We've done this for a while, all aspects of eBay. We've done the clothing, literally started with clothing, started with FBA books. We've moved away from that when FBA changed the fees, when clothing started getting harder to find, when the prices started going up. And I never liked clothing anyway. I'll do anything, even if I don't like it, to get to the end of the road, to get to my goal. So, and I know a lot of people just don't see it that way. A lot of people think it's just going to be easy to pop up on eBay and you're just going to make a ton of money right off the bat. I can tell you right now what's happening across the industry. You'll see people that are very successful. There's tons of other YouTubers out here that do very good business, but the low-lying fruit, all the easy to get money is dying off. And if you can't see that coming, it's going to be to your detriment, because once all that low-level stuff comes off, if you haven't expanded, you haven't looked into other options and markets and stuff, you're going to be dead in the water. You've got to do more than just one thing these days. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or 20 years ago when we first started on eBay, you could do eBay exclusively and make a ton, and I'm talking insane amount of money. $250,000 back 20 years ago was nothing when eBay first started. Almost anybody could have done that back then. I never thought to do it as a full-time, and that was my fault, but it's getting harder. All that low-lying fruit, all the easy stuff to get is dying off. Thrift stores are raising their prices. Goodwill around here scans all the books. Everyone. They scan the books when they come in. Donation-wise, everything. They scan the books. They send them off. They auction them. All the good clothing, all the good coats are checked out and auctioned off before they even hit the floor. All that good stuff. I was there and I talked about this the other day. A Goodwill in the middle of winter only had 7 men's coats. There's something wrong. They're selling all the higher, better stuff somewhere else. It's very slim pickings around here. So if you don't have game and you don't know how to play, look into other markets. You're going to be dead in a year or two, I would say, if you're not expanding. FBA is always a good source. Retail arbitrage, wholesale. eBay is the bomb, as I've always said. eBay is always made up and pays the majority of whatever we need to. But you got to have more feet in the game. You got to have more stuff spread out there. So, we sell on 9 different platforms. I don't sell a ton on every one of those, of course, but a little bit here, a little bit there, cutting costs at all stake, saving money. Like for us, we save money by having 2 anchor stores. It saves us almost $2,500 a year just in 2 anchor stores. I don't buy certain things. I don't spend money on extra things. All of this is to, your benefit when you do stuff like this. So the wife's going to be coming out here in just a few minutes too. So just FYI. But I can't stress this enough that it's not easy to do reselling on eBay or anywhere in that matter. It takes a lot of time, and for us, it still takes a lot of time. Do I need to put in as much time as I do now? I don't really have to, but I'm advancing our business. I'm trying all kinds of new stuff that I've never thought of before. We do business to business on Amazon now. We do merch by Amazon now, too. We've got shirt designs out there. We're in the 3rd tier right now on merch by Amazon. That means we've had enough sales at each level to advance to the 3rd level. So, we are expanding stuff. Merch by Amazon's free. Business to business on Amazon's free. Homemade by Amazon's free. I mean, you have to have the business account, obviously. So it's free once you have the business account. Let me straighten that out there for you. So for those of you who are selling on Amazon, look into the other aspects of it, like business to business. I can get wholesale deals now and sell them all, every single item to another business, and not have to piece them out one by one by one. And they've also launched another program for hazardous materials where you'll be able to sell other things through a certain... It's invite only, just like merch by Amazon. But if you've got a good standing, that's another program you can get into where you can sell paints and other things that will be handled by another third-party company. So there's a lot of this stuff out there, and I mean a lot. We've been going hog wild on literally wholesale deals lately. Retail arbitrage is good. It's going to die up for us around here. We don't get as much. Once 4th quarter markdowns and all the discounts are gone, you're going to have to wait till, say after Valentine's Day for some of those materials to show up and stuff. So there's gaps in here when you do stuff like that. So I always am looking ahead till, months from now. We've already, as I said, got Christmas locked down. So that's what it takes. You can look at some of these other channels and some of the other bigwigs who do YouTube as well, and you're going to see that they're buying in big bulk ahead of time. And I've said this before, that's why certain companies buy, they'll buy at a trade show. And we go to trade shows nowadays. We go to, toy expos, trade shows, all that kind of stuff. That's where you can get some of these contacts to get into this type of business. I don't know any other way without, beating the pavement that you're going to get into any of these places, that you're going to get a wholesale deal. The number one way to get ungated on anything pretty much in Amazon, there's some locked categories as well that you'll never get into. I'd never do Nikes or some of the shoes. But if you get a receipt based on a wholesale, you can submit that to Amazon, and Amazon is going to ungate you. It's just that simple. We have, LLCs and all that kind of stuff. I've got a BOP for insurance-wise to cover any incidences that cover injuries from products, all this kind of stuff you're going to have in my book. I know there's a lot of people who do this business and don't have that insurance. That's their, their take on it. I always cover ourselves with insurance, so I do have a BOP. I've talked about this before with folks. I've even given out the information for some other folks who now have that same BOP. BOP is a business owner's policy. When you're doing big business and your whole life depends on your company as you as the boss, you are the boss, you got to be covered if something happens. And business owner's policy covers loss, theft, damage, natural disaster. Let's say the internet's down, or there's some big technical glitch for a couple days, or your equipment's damaged, or whatever the case may be, it covers my income while I'm gone. It covers all of this. It's like a supplemental income. Plus it covers, the building that I'm in. I mean, we spend money on this, but I mean, it's well worth it, because everything my whole me, everything that's me, my business, everything around me is dependent on this business staying here if something happens. I know probably 50 or better resellers that I've talked to, not a regular basis, but once or twice a month, on a routine, and none of them have a business owner's policy. And if, let's say, something happened, they only have so much left in the bank, they would be dead in the water, not being able to pay their bills after a certain length of time. Some of them it's 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and stuff like that. That's why stuff like that's important. If you're going to get into this business, you're going to have to cover every aspect of it. You've got to be safe. You've got to protect for me, it's my wife and my kids. I've got people that work for me. So if something happens, they're covered as well. My business is covered. If I've got a regular payroll, that's in there. You can get any kind of insurance you want for that package. You could insure your shelving. You could insure all of your inventory. You could insure a warehouse that you were in. A lot of people, when they rent a warehouse, don't get insurance on their own. So the insurance from the warehouse usually doesn't cover a lot of that stuff. It only covers their building. So just keep that in mind for those of you who are renting a warehouse or a storage facility. I mean, we have a storage facility, so it's not a rental. It's from a family member. Wise, and I keep a lot of stuff there. So that is covered. It's not at the same location that I'm at. I can cover multiple buildings on my BOP. I can cover my vehicles extra and above my car insurance. So I could actually turn over a break-in into a business car to my BOP as opposed to my auto insurance, so my auto insurance would not go up. So, that's just something to think about. There's all these little ways you can save and setting yourself up in business-wise. So why don't we see if the wife is coming? Yeah, here she comes right now, actually. Perfect timing. She had a few things she had to do, so she is coming out now. I am going to slide out. We've got her nice little chair here, and she is bringing her coffee in her Fireside mug. That is your Fireside mug, so.
Yeah.
Here she is. Here's Marky. If you don't know, this is the wife. This is my other half. How we looking there, Ian? What was Savers? I never saw one when I was in Ohio. Anything comparable in Florida? There was if you know, let's see, Highway 50 in Hiawassee area, there's a chain. Geez, I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's a chain down there that it looks just like a Savers. It was
I
on.
miss Savers.
Yeah,
that was my favorite place.
She loves Savers. We used to go there a lot. The prices were high. Some of the items there they searched and scanned. When we just before Savers closed down, we were pretty friendly with the lady who priced jewelry, and they looked up. Anything that went in that those counter displays at Savers, she looked it up. Every single piece in those cases, she looked them up on eBay. Everything. So, and this was 2 years ago almost that we knew they were doing that. And even Savers now is scanning books from what I've been told. And we know people that work there. We knew this lady fairly well. We talked to her outside of Savers. So, you got to realize that they're scanning. They're catching on to this stuff. That's why the prices are going up. That's why I said earlier that the bottom branches on the tree are going away. You're going to be getting table scraps at some point because everybody else above you before it gets to you is going to be filtering out the better and the better stuff for more money. So you darn well better be looking into doing something else if you want to do this full time. We've done pretty much anything you can think of selling online. Anything. If we thought we could make a couple bucks at it, we tried it. We tried Poshmark. We did all the other stuff that you could think of. We did Bonanza years ago. We did Ruby Lane years ago. I did Yahoo auctions, if anybody remembers that. We go way back. We were online before eBay was eBay.
Oh yeah, when it first started.
Have you ever shopped at a HS Home Shopping Network store? I've never even seen one of those, Carl.
Hi, Carl.
Hang on, I think we slide back up there for just a second. I think I missed some. I didn't answer any on the top here, so go back up farther. Hang on, our feed sometimes bounces all over.
Up more?
Yeah, keep going. Let's see where we're at. Okay, let's go down from here. Hang on, we're just seeing if we missed any questions on there. If you're just joining us, I have a little video here before this showing a haul that we have, and I'm discussing that. Let me touch on that because SP had asked that. Just one more chance here on that. We are going to sell some of these, and I've already got a purchaser for one of these already. So I'm going to get half of my money back from one of these for sure. And that's the reason I went back and bought the rest of these. Again, if you didn't see the original haul, the first 3 these came from, it's actually down in the description right now. I actually added it into the comments, actually, I think.
They work great for weights. You can work out your arms.
Yeah, these things weigh. This
The
little
big
one
ones,
here
too.
is like a pound and a half, probably,
Yeah.
maybe even 2 pounds, believe it or not. Yeah, this is New York behind us, Theo here. Echo Retro. On stuff like this, I can go into any antique mall that's decent sized, 50, 60, 70 dealers, and I can guarantee you I could take somebody there and I could pretty much find something on the very first aisle I go to, everywhere I go, because people just don't price it right. They don't spend the time to look up things. Most people don't even know what this is. And that's the plus. And you can see they're all still priced. I didn't take off any of the price stickers. $8.50 was the cheapest. I got them all for $5, as I said. Not to drill that back in here, but it's deals like that that come up. She ended up getting some stuff too. When I went back to pick these up, she got a Weebles
The
box.
Weebleville Airport.
Yeah, she got the Weeble.
And it was the early Weebles, the peelable.
Yeah,
ones.
so I mean, she collects. We sell her extras. We sell the bits and pieces. I'll always buy vintage toy parts because you can sell individual doors even from
Oh,
things.
yeah.
A door, a tree, a chair, a stool. Like in the haul video again. Again, it's down below. Again, I don't want to keep talking about something as I know a lot of people haven't seen it, but there's some tree tots in there. Those things sell for $3 to $5 each item. I picked up a bag of like 15 items for I think it was like $5 or $10. And literally, we're going to make $25 profit on something that's just pieces, parts. So,
Well, because the swings would break and people need to replace the swings.
Exactly.
The little dog shrub house, or the little stickers into them, people need to replace those.
She may show you some of these items here in another video here as well,
Reselling
too.
with Rob, bizarre friends are good for business.
Yeah, we're a little out there, and I don't really care what somebody thinks. This is us. I think everybody knows I don't put on an act. My drink just disappeared, I saw. We're on a delay, if anybody
Right now.
doesn't know.
Duncan.
Adrian's watching, and chillin' Duncan and eBay replace send invoices with relist on sold unpaid auctions. I am almost sure that there's an option to do that. I have not seen that, Duncan. Let me write that down. But you're using the Australian version, so I'm not sure if that's... I looked at stuff just, within the last 30 minutes before coming live. I had a couple items just sold, and I literally had to combine. So I don't see that on my end here. And maybe it's just on your country's site, possibly. That's an interesting one. I'll have to look into that. When I wrote that down, I'm just curious on that one
Okay,
here.
you already answered this one.
Hey, Aaron.
Oh, you answered that
I
one,
got
too.
something for you coming out too, Aaron. You're going to be in a video. You're named just because you had recommended something. I've got a video coming out from one of your recommendations, Aaron. Just FYI.
Jennifer. And Michigan Savers is the same as our Value Village. I'll have to check that one out.
Value Village. That might be the one in Florida. Value Village. I think
I'm not
that's the one
sure.
we got the Microman without the head on
Yeah,
it.
I don't know.
That sounds like the name of the one in Florida on Highway 50 in Hiawassee area that I was thinking about. That name just rings a bell.
Oh,
You
and
just
it
bopped
just,
it, yeah.
I hate that. It's so touchy.
Go up past that.
Oh, we
right
got
there.
right there.
Okay. Hey, reselling with Rob.
Hi, Jennifer. Or Savers big in Pacific Northwest. I miss Savers. That was, I every time we go past the building, it's so depressing.
You know the best thrift store I've ever seen in my life? It's in Laurel, Maryland. It's right off the Beltway.
Oh, that
And
was a
I
good
wished I
one.
could remember the name of it. I think it's just like Community Thrift Store. It's a real big one. Every time we went into that one back in the late 90s or
No, it
so.
was 2001.
2001 era.
Yeah.
We walked out of that store with like $500 or $600 every single time, and I used to deliver and help my employees and stuff, and I'd ride along just for them to drop me off at that store while they did 2 more stores, and then you'd come back and get me because I made a ton of money. And I'm talking that store was like the bomb out there.
Oh, right here. How crucial.
How crucial is 30-day returns? 30-day returns for us saves us a couple $1,000s a year. And I say that because I get a top-rated plus status, and I get a percentage discount off of my final value fees. And I know people say it's just pennies. It is just pennies, but you got to multiply that times thousands of listings and sales that we have, and by the end of the year, it's into the thousands of dollars. So for me, it's a money issue. And people might laugh, $1,000 for the extra work. There's no extra work. I almost never have a return. It boosts your actual appearance. 30-day free returns is the best, in my personal opinion. I know some folks, it wouldn't work for everybody because there are people that get a higher rate of returns. Clothing, for example. I know a lot of people have clothing that's a higher rate of returns. We both hated clothing.
Well, I liked shopping for the vintage for myself.
Yeah, we ended up keeping some of it. So I mean,
yeah.
but
now you can't find it.
It's all Savers is gone. Everything around here, they pick through everything nowadays.
Even the girl at Goodwill told me that all of the vintage good pieces they put up for auction.
Yeah, and again, our store here has their own website. They sell their own stuff on the National Goodwill site as well too. Some of it goes to a higher end store somewhere else around here that they go to. We have a bin that's 3 hours away, the Goodwill bins, and it's not worth the drive. There's one in Michigan. It's just not worth the drive to do that for us, for an opportunity. And the one bin I went to one once, and there was a fight in the bins. Somebody pushed the bin into somebody else so they couldn't get something, and
people can get nasty.
It just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there was a better place when we lived in Mississippi. There in Jackson, Mississippi, they actually have big unit auctions where they'll auction off big bins of stuff where you buy like almost a storage unit full of stuff that we'd get sometimes. They'd auction off cars and things like that too. But
you always see those junk cars.
Yeah, it was always some junk clunker back there. But we've been to a few of those. Those were better than the bins any day of the week, in my opinion, because you got it before it went out on the floor. It wasn't like rejects. It wasn't picked through stuff. It was usually huge bulk lots. And the point of it was that in Mississippi back then, there wasn't the huge market there is today, so they always had extra. Goodwill, Salvation Army, sometimes those folks have to bail old clothing, and then they send them to like Africa and countries that need the help. So they auction it off as opposed to spending the money to ship it.
Right here.
Hang and Chad, church sales are always good. There's like one round here that I always go to. It's on my calendar. I've talked about this. Research everything. Get yourself a darn calendar, and I'm going to stress this extensively. Write down when stuff goes on sale in stores. If you don't use BrickSeek, if you're doing retail, use BrickSeek. Camel, if you're doing like Amazon or something. Write all the information down when basically stuff goes on sale. Write down a church sale. Around here, the church sales happen the same time every year at the same church. So you always know which weekend it is. Or go ahead and friend them their page on Facebook and keep a track of these things. Make some notices in the month that they always have it. We go to the same one. In a couple of the church sales that we go to, you got to be outside like an hour and a half before the thing opens up. But you're going to find some really good stuff. We both went there. We brought boxes with us, and we didn't have enough boxes. We just found that much stuff at a church sale. And they were like nickel, dime, 50 cents, $1 items because they price them so dirt cheap. My favorite thing at a church sale is usually sheet music in big bulk, because I don't know of a church sale that I haven't got 40 or 50 pounds worth of sheet music. They know they're not going to sell it all. Somebody's going to pick a couple. So if you offer them a bunch on some big, huge lot at a church sale, especially the second or third day, they're going to take it. We always have good luck at church sales.
Oh, Annie brought up about the...
Hey, Annie, how you doing?
About in Quebec, we were talking about going to Canada and going to the thrift store. So this is what I can't speak. The Savers,
Value
the
Village, yeah.
Value Village, yeah.
Yeah, my son's talking about going. Babe, I've been to Canada. We're actually going to go this year as well too. I've got my card and she's getting hers. We actually need to get it done pretty quickly.
I would love to go to Canada.
We're going to go to Niagara Falls this year, and then we're going to do some sourcing in there too. I've made some friends and some contacts through obviously eBay. I do artwork. I know some other people who do artwork who are from Canada who buy certain specific items from me. I've got, there's a person we're going to probably meet that buys all my Raphael Tucks, if he's the first one to see him. I've got like 3 people that fight over the Raphael Tucks, and I'm not going to call it a name, but he's going to meet with us. He's a professor at a college who does artwork, and he does things on the side too. So it's going to be a sourcing trip, a fun trip, a family trip, all in one. We don't go anywhere without sourcing. I don't care if we go to Hockin Hills. We hit every flea market, and we like doing that. We do it as a family.
And
all
I'm like,
four
oh,
of us.
there's a thrift store. You know, I'm the spotter.
I can't go in anywhere these days without looking for something
That's
in
the
the
highlight
clearance.
of the trip.
Even a food store. We started to buy food last year. We got in on the walnuts and pecan deal because at the end of the season every year we do it now. We buy them from Kroger's and some of the bakeries around here. They'll set up and they'll buy massive quantities of walnuts and stuff and pecans for pecan pie. And
when we lived in Mississippi, we had pecan trees, and you just picked up
we could
pecans.
sell those online too. That's why I've talked about some other things. I've got videos talking about stuff like that coming out here. Anyway, let's see. I want to get to some
Black
questions.
Crystal
How you doing,
Dice.
Black Crystal Dice?
Hello.
Yeah, we're gonna. This is New York. I believe it's from Newark. I've been to New York quite a few times. She was there too when they were actually
Manhattan.
filming.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I got to meet John Candy.
Yeah,
Got
I
a
love John
picture of
Candy. I
him.
loved him.
He was awesome. He was so friendly.
Good
down
movie.
To earth.
Good movie if you haven't seen it.
Carl. Right here.
Been using compare prices that shows Amazon. You know, if you're just getting started in Amazon, I would honestly recommend just using the Amazon app. Just use the Amazon app. You can go in, Amazon's app, the seller app. I've got it on my phone right this second. I literally used it 2 hours ago when I was at Walmart. Your seller app on the phone, for those of you who are starting, will tell you if you can sell the item, which is the most important thing. You can also have on your phone at the exact same time, you can have the actual site, Amazon's seller site, and go through there to actually apply instantly while you're in the store without leaving the store to see if you can get ungated. If you've been selling a long time, we get ungated instantly on many, many items. And the other ones we have to supply an invoice. But the Amazon seller app itself will tell you everything you need to know. You can actually see what your profit line will be, the whole works. The thing that I should say is search up the information on what is a good ranking. Like toys, I don't buy anything that's over 100,000 on toys. The lower the number, the ranking, sales number ranking, the better the item is. You know, it depends on the category as well. So this Amazon seller app I used for almost a year before I spent the money on something else. I'm actually going to go into a little of that in another video. But the Amazon seller app, do Amazon first. Don't jump straight into RA and FBA until you've at least got a good grasp on how everything works. People get tripped up and will mess up, and then they're going to just end up screwing themselves and get kicked off Amazon. Amazon is very strict. Everybody thinks eBay is crazy, but Amazon
is strict.
We know people that have been kicked off for the stupidest things. I have an item sitting up here that I sourced today. I have permission to sell this company's items, but there is no page for it up on Amazon. So I'm hoping somebody else puts it on because it's in clearance or works on it, because I don't want to do the actual insertion of the first listing myself. You know, I'm sure I could mimic the other items that are up from the same company, because it's like I've got Series 2 and they're only have Series 1 up of this specific item. So I'm hoping that happens, but Amazon seller app is what I've used for the longest time. I use a couple apps now. I'm not going to promote any apps at this point, but I will probably in the future call out the actual specific apps. Again, the Amazon seller app is honestly the best bet for anybody starting off. Know the business first. Don't spend the money. You might not like it. You might not be ungated in your area to sell enough of the specific items. You might not be able to find enough items. It might not be your thing. You know, there's a lot to Amazon. It's not, once you're into Amazon, listing on Amazon is a piece of cake. But other than that, you got to know all the rules. A big rule that I know somebody who's personally been kicked off for on Amazon, he had his account blocked permanently. He was taking photographs and he had other things in the photographs. He was selling in collectibles like I do. I can sell in vintage, collectible, historical, vintage vinyls, CDs, DVDs. I've got a ton of toys. But his pictures had other background colors besides white. The item sometimes was a small part, maybe 60% of the image. He kept doing it. And I told him, don't do that. The rule on Amazon is 80% of the image or more has to be of the item. And everything else in the rest of that photo has to be all white. That got him kicked off of Amazon. A lifetime ban from that, from what I understand, too. So,
Annie is saying, don't feel bad, Marky. I went to Savers last night in Massachusetts and found nothing worth buying.
Wow.
And it is EY. You're right, Andy. It's EY.
What's EY? What did I
Marky.
miss? Oh, yeah,
The
yeah.
ending.
Yeah, that is correct. You got it.
Estate sales are the best, T-Basher.
Yeah, we do estate sales too. In fact, there was one this morning. I drove by it. I didn't go in just because it looked so packed. And I was already like 2 hours late. Some estate sales, if they're vintage estate sales, if you're not there like the night before around here, you're not going to get in. We've got a different sourcing issue than most people have, and that's why we do different things than most people. And that's why I don't share everything, because if I opened up everything I did, one category we sell and we make a lot of money in, I'm the only one still, and I've been the only one selling this specific, well, there's 3 items in this category. I'm the only one who's had these on Amazon for a long time now. I'm not going to give out anything like that. And there's some other items that I'm lucky enough to get wholesale. And one of the items that we sell, I will give out. We started with Christian religious CDs, wholesale. We bought thousands of them at one time. That got us my invoices. That got me into Amazon. So the minute they said, hey, where's an invoice to sell something, I had several invoices from the same company for mass quantities. We took a hit when we first got them, but once we found the niche to sell these things and where to sell them, they just started flying off the shelf, and that got us to where we needed to be.
Carl.
Have you done so far on all those records? In all honesty, we haven't sold well, I'll take that back. I sold one the first night. We haven't listed anymore, and that was sold locally to somebody that collects specifically a jazz record. But we've been going back and forth on the records. We might sell a few thousand maybe in lots.
Yeah.
Just because we've got a ton. It'd be nice to clear up. We've got a couple 100,000 records.
It would be nice to have some space.
It would be. We literally have a couple 100,000 records, not just here, but all together. And I don't see, I could sit there here and do it probably for a year or two and still not list all those records just because it's a daunting task. We're going to bulk some of those up. We're going to have a new employee be doing maybe just records for a couple months straight. Hire somebody to list literally just for records probably.
Yeah.
And maybe do it that way, because we're going to set up our own record web page as well too. And that'll just give us another revenue. We want to move stuff to our own websites and literally cross-list everything we own on our own site as well as on other sites. So if something happens on eBay, I'm going to have a copy of every single thing out there. I'll set up my policies the same way in the whole works. So we're actually delving into that now. That's going to take a little extra work and some more time, but that's just a secondary backup. We already have a website that we've already paid for over a year and just haven't used it yet. So
Sheila's Second Chance. That's too bad about Goodwill taking business away from us. I know, that's what I said. They get free donations and the good stuff gets put in auction. So
well,
it makes no sense.
They run organizations. So I mean, the Goodwill around here, especially the one downtown, they have an outreach shelter. They feed the homeless. They give away clothes. They have education programs. They help get GEDs. The ones around here do. I don't know if they all do that. I don't remember any in Mississippi ever doing anything than that. Like Salvation Army, they run college for the Salvation Army workers and the actual religious aspect of it, or whatever you'd want to call it.
I just miss the good old days when, you got a better chance of finding. Like, I love vintage clothing. I will buy vintage clothing just for myself, just for me, just for my personal collection. And now it's once in a blue moon I find something.
Yeah, it's gotten to be
It's been,
slim picking.
2 or 3 years, really, since I found a really good piece of vintage clothing.
Yeah, you almost have to go to an antique mall these days to get one. And then your
or
prices
an
are...
sale.
Estate sale, yeah. You can get lucky at estate sales. I haven't been to an estate sale since maybe last October. I think that I actually walked through that, if I can think about it. I have better luck sometimes at...
Okay.
Hey, Landshark, how you doing?
Oh,
Rusted Raccoon, how you doing?
I hit it and it...
Go up your far here, yeah. I think you're still, yep.
Right
well,
here.
thank you, Cara Bonham.
Thanks,
I
Carl.
appreciate the super chat there. It's always nice that people support us.
Toronto.
I think we're still, go up a little farther. I think we're still off.
Oh, up?
Yeah, go
okay.
up.
Man, this thing is so touchy.
Wait, there we go. So far, all those. Okay,
we're
right there.
You touch it and it just, meh.
Okay, we can pop down. Where were we now? Again, thank you, Carl, on that. I really appreciate the super chat there. People should stop donating the items to Goodwill and donate to churches
I
instead.
know. Yes, that's a good idea.
It would be good, but our churches don't do anything. There's one little small thrift store that's run by a women's organization that we do help, and I do volunteer anytime they need electronic work, or I fix computers for them and things like that. So there are a few that do stuff like that. They offer free clothing. They give away free food. They're like a mini food bank and stuff.
They do a lot of good
But
for the community.
For the most part, none of the other ones around here do anything like that. Yeah. The only thing they do is run a church sale once or twice a year. And as I said, I've literally got a spreadsheet of every church sale that's worth going to around here. I've got one for every one of the big bank sales that they have. Like these here. You're going to see these kind of things looking through the papers for sales for industrial stuff. These are industrial pieces. So I look at every one that says industrial, die stamping, metal fabrication, anything that says anything along that line. I look at those sales and I go to every one of those. You'd be shocked if you saw some of the stuff that shows up at sales. You would never expect it. We went to one that was automotives, and I bought a pallet worth of postage stamp material that the guy just happened to buy at he was going to flip it, and he was just so much stuff he didn't know what to do with it. I paid him like $20 or $30 for a pallet of it because he didn't know what to do with it. He wanted his money back from it. We ended up making like $1,000 or $2 or a couple $1,000 of it, and we were selling supplements for stamps for like, I don't know, a year and a half we had worth of those things. Constantly. It was a sale. Almost every couple days we were selling a half a dozen of these things.
Let's see. Annie's saying Toronto is only about an hour from Niagara Falls.
Yeah, I've been to Toronto before. I think the Panasonic Tower used to be there, if I'm not mistaken. They used to have a restaurant and stuff. Maybe that's maybe Niagara Falls has that. I mixed the two of them. It's been years since I've been there. That's why we're actually going to go this year.
Yeah, Theo.
1 hour from Niagara Falls. Please let me know.
I can't wait to see the Niagara Falls.
You want me to sign your shirt? Well, just give me a holler. We're going to go. I went to Niagara Falls when I was a child. I was probably 10. My parents took me there. We went twice. I remember we were at Madame Tussauds, and they had somebody dressed up as Frankenstein. There's a picture of this. She was laughing at it. But it was a full-sized Frankenstein outfit outside. That would have scared
me when I was a little kid.
And I was 8, 9, 10, and it looked like a wax statue. And I got up next to it, and the thing moved, and I just jumped back. And I was young, and because this thing, it was somebody like 6'4" or something. Just this monstrous big green creature coming at you. It was a fun trip. Other than that, I should say.
Okay.
I miss Swiss Chalet. That sounds really familiar. As I said, we've been to Canada several times.
Not me.
She hasn't. I used to go to Windsor a lot. Back when I was 18, just before I turned 18, they changed the law. So you could go over to Canada and we could drink in Canada when they changed it to 21 here. So I missed the cutoff by like 2 months. So we used to go to Windsor to drink. So anyway, I used to go to Windsor a lot. Hey, Rusted Raccoon. Black Crystal, pop on down.
Right here.
Calgary.
Prince Edward Island.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going there as well either. That's another one of those on my list.
And Landshark Picker.
Well, thank you too, Landshark. I know you've done some call-outs too, so I appreciate the comments and the whole works too as well.
This is Carolina Picks. I drive my wife crazy on vacation wanting to go to the thrift stores.
We always go. See, now for
we
us...
We drive our kids crazy.
My youngest one loves going, so I mean...
The oldest one, not so much.
He on vacation, he always likes going.
If there's metal he can smelt.
If there's something he can melt down, or if there's something he has electronic parts.
Yeah.
He takes stuff apart and he'll reuse, capacitors. He makes all kinds of stuff. He's done light, or he lit up his whole bike. He's made all kinds of different types of lighting that didn't exist and don't exist still. So we've actually got a couple patents that we're working on for him right this minute on a couple items. And we weren't going to go ahead, but after we've researched what he's doing, the utility patents, he can get a couple utility patents, and he's also going to get a a provisional patent. And literally we're going to shell out the money for him because he's come up with something that, I have to say that it's got a huge potential. So
yeah, right here. Kathy Steele.
On junk drawer lots, do you ever have problems with people buying them just to check them out and then returning them? I do no returns. If something's missing or they're screwing around with you, I don't give them a full refund. We do 30-day free returns. With 30-day or free returns, the minute they open it up to send it back, they can't leave feedback. So if I only leave them partial in my funds, that's fine. And then all I do is relist the lot when we get it back. We've gotten stuff back, and we just end up relisting. We sold a real nice vintage Big E Levi jacket, and it came back. And then it sold the next week for like $60 more than the last one we sold it for. So
okay.
I just take it back. I don't care. And on a junk drawer lot, they're probably going to try and take something out. And as I said, if that's the case, know what you put in there. I usually keep a list of what's in there.
Especially the CD lot.
We had a CD lot, and the guy claimed this was missing the CD. This was damaged.
It was over 100.
It was 190 CDs we had sold. We just blew them out because we had like maybe $50 into them.
The guy was trying to get one over on us.
And the end of the day is we were sure he was a reseller, and he actually went and probably sold some of them. So we knew that if we forced him to send the lot back, that he wasn't going to do it, because at this point he's already tried to get his money out of these things. We were right. He didn't send it back. They closed the case. We won it. He didn't get a dime back. I didn't have to do anything with that guy.
Yeah. Oh, let me see. Where are we? You already just did that one? Or no.
Hocking. Well, you got a Hocking Hills. Yeah, Backdrop Rusty Raccoon, if you didn't hear, that's New York from, I believe it's Newark. Hocking Hills, we love Hocking Hills down in Logan. We were just there like 5 months ago, I think. We usually go down there. We've got a cabin that we usually rent. It's got a hot tub it sits on a hill.
It's really nice.
And all you can see anywhere from your hot tub is trees just looking out your window. It's got panoramic windows that just it's awesome. There's like a 200-foot drop off. It's a steady drop off down from there.
The people breed timber wolves.
Yeah. We heard wolves howling at this place, and we were like, "What?"
I scooped up my chihuahua. Was like, "Ooh, wolves!"
It was late at night, and you're out there. There's bats flying around. I mean, it's you're out in the middle of nature. All kinds of weird animals are out there. And we were driving out of the place, and at the front, their son lives up there. He's like at the guard post entering into because they own a ton of property out there, and you can see two wolves sitting in front of his window, sunning themselves out here. And sure enough, when I went to check out and stuff, we know that we've known these same people for like 8 years now. We go in, we talk to them and hang out at their house and stuff. And one of the wolves, they've got like 8 of these things, and they breed them, and they've had like 20 or 30 of them at some point. The wolf came running in there, and this thing,
I could have put a saddle on it.
You could have
and rode it around.
If you haven't seen one up close, it was a little intimidating at first.
Yeah, to say the least.
Because he chews on metal. He's chewed through a metal cage, and he was big.
He knows how to open up sliding glass doors.
it was the weirdest thing. I mean, I was impressed. I was awestruck by these animals. They're just incredible. They're big. It was like a big puppy though. Once he got friendly, but you didn't want to move when he first came into the room.
Our dogs didn't want to have anything to do with them.
Yeah. We were careful after that, but they're good people we rent from.
But Carl,
do you notice a difference in eBay shipping discounts you charge versus free? I charge for everything. And with the discount here, let me just put this out here too. I charge the full rate that eBay charges, or that would be collected. Or let me cross that out. I charge, let's say like a 3-ounce package from the post office is $3.50. I charge the buyer $3.50. I keep the difference to cover my costs. So that the $3.50 that they pay covers the 10% fee that I pay on final value for the actual shipping, and it also covers all my shipping supplies. It's basically a wash. I don't expect to make money. Once in a while I'm off in one way or the other. I cover the difference, or if the amount is over $1, I refund them every dime over the dollar amount too. So it's the only thing I do on that, unless it's like $3.50 and I only pay $2.66. But for sales wise, for what we sell, it does not matter at all if I do free shipping or not. I'm going to sell just as much. People expect to pay shipping for these kind of items. If you're in a flooded category with clothing, you can't do charge shipping. I couldn't do that with books. I can't do it with video games. But with the majority of what we sell are vintage, antiques, collectibles, records, all of that you can charge shipping on. And never have an issue with it. I never worry. Once we went to flipped off from doing clothing and books and all that, I charge shipping for everything now. My life is so much easier. I do calculated shipping. I never have to change anything.
Right here.
Let's see here. The bins are very good when they bring fresh containers to the facility instead of leftovers from other Goodwills.
Yeah, that's
We could see that. It just, for us, it's a 3-hour drive to a bin, one direction, and I'm just not willing to do that.
and it would be our luck. They would just be
wrong
leftovers from
day.
the Goodwill.
And there's cliques there, just like back in school, it seems like, where everybody seemed to know each other in one group, and they were pushing everybody out who wasn't in their little circle.
The thrift stores by colleges.
The college, those are always the best. The
Especially
college
when
thrift
school
stores.
lets out. Oh, you can get some really neat stuff.
Another thing on those of you who do FBA or books or any of that stuff, we have kids in college. We went through college not too long ago, and what we used to do a lot was flipping our books on Chegg. Look up Chegg.com.
That's a good place.
If you're not familiar, you may not always get as much as selling them on Amazon or something else, but it's quick. They pay you cash. They buy the book. You don't have to worry about it sitting there for weeks. So if you need quick cash, Chegg's is always
Isn't it CHEGG?
CHEGG.com.
And right here.
Now we've sold. Hang on, we'll go back to the question just a second. I know I'm going to try and get caught back up on the questions here. We still got 35 minutes, but on Chegg, sometimes I'm able to get more money on Chegg immediately as opposed to sending it into Amazon and having to get the fees taken out for FBA books. We stopped doing FBA books. We're doing FBA books now again, only because we're doing RA. And when I'm sending a box in, it's no big deal to send in a couple stacks of books. So I do it that way too. So just FYI, it depends on obviously where they're splitting me up. If I'm going to one storage here or which one I'm going to. If it's going to screw me and I'm going to have to spend the money on a separate box for 50 books, I'm going to just hold on to them. So
right here.
Vintage phone books, any luck? Vintage phone books sell well. It depends on how vintage you're talking about. We had some from like 1905, 1910, and we got a couple $100 for several of those. City phone guides that have like five, like have just like a digit, like a funky name and then another digit or two. If those are the types of phone numbers in the book, those are usually pretty good. The average one of those is $30 or $40. Older the better. If you get one from like circa 1899 to say 1905, you're usually talking a couple $100 for the most part. Depends on the city. If it's a New York one, they don't go as high because there was tons more of them. And New York was one of the cities that had phone books prior to some other cities just because of the size of the city.
Right here, Thrift Shop Hustler.
Hey, I'm gonna get with you, Thrift Shop Hustler. I'll send you something by tomorrow evening on a time and frame on here. He's got a pretty good channel too. If you haven't seen his before too, we're talking about possibly doing something together here. Just FYI.
House of Treasures. Hello from South Carolina.
Yeah, hang on, just like Thrift Shop Hustler here is telling you same thing. Use the free app until you are running out of opportunities with that. Then go and up it. The only thing I could say is some of the book scanner apps are great. If you go to book sales like we have in the past, they turn off the Wi-Fi so you can't scan the books. They don't want you doing it at some of these places. So you beat them by actually one of the scanner apps we have, and I can't think of the name to save my life, but we download everything. It's a separate piece that clips onto the bottom of my phone. I've got like Velcro on it. And it downloads the entire database from Amazon so I can scan books in the store with no Wi-Fi. So that's the only reason I would say that I would have paid for something like that, because it was awesome. When you get into the savers here, I could only get signals in the first half of the store for whatever reason. I don't know if they've intentionally did that or not, but that's why we started to pay for other apps in the past. So welcome, South Carolina there. House of Treasures.
Lancaster.
Thomas is from Lancaster. Yeah, we talked about that. We've eaten pretty much all over the place. Where did we eat when we were there, though? The Buffalo burgers?
But they had the best burgers.
Yeah, the best burgers I think we've ever had in our life were at...
I dream about eating those burgers.
They're Buffalo burgers. It's, shoot.
No, I had the beef. You guys got the
Buffalo. Yeah, I can't think of the name of a place out there. But we go to that big flea market out there. There's a couple other ones in that general area.
I know about where it is, so when we go back...
Yeah, I know right where it's at. I can't think of the name of it. We even put a thing on Facebook about that restaurant. Best burgers I've ever had, probably.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. Oh, learn the rules. Exactly.
Yeah, Landshark, that's exactly right. Yeah, a lot of people jump into it and don't know what they're doing. And not knowing what they're doing, they usually get themselves kicked off pretty quick. They think it's just going to be easy money, and they'll just send up lists. I've got the ability to make up my own item numbers, and the whole works on Amazon. I can do that in many categories that most people are gated in. And because we've been on there for 6 years or so, I've got wholesale receipts for stuff. I constantly get wholesale items, so I can get set up my own, AEISN number and all that stuff. I can literally set up. I use the same bin numbers that I use for eBay on Amazon, believe it or not. So
I'll be right back.
my numbers sync together.
I gotta feed the dogs.
Oh, all right, my numbers sync together on any site that I'm on. That's just one of my things. So all my internal numbers on Amazon are my eBay numbers. Not something you could see because I don't put them in a visible site. You can't do that on Amazon, but learn the rules of the game. Land Shark Picker is correct 100% on that. Let's see here. Where am I?
Henry. Come on, Henry.
Let's see here. If you haven't checked out Land Shark Picker 2, he's got a pretty good channel out too. You give him some love there if you feel like it. What did I miss? Where am I at here? Amazon love lifelong bans, never more antiques. That is true. That is very true. I know people who have gotten around things like that. It's not as hard to do as you would think. A kickoff isn't the end of the world for some people there, but, I haven't had any issues. I'm 5-star across the board on Amazon, and every single one. Amazon's a different monster than say, eBay. With Amazon, I may get like one feedback for hundreds and hundreds of items that I sell. People just don't think about it. They don't go back in and do it for the most part. I even thought about how many times I've left feedback on an Amazon purchase. And we buy stuff from Amazon all the time. I don't shop in conventional stores. Almost, other than like vintage stuff like this, most of my items, clothing or personal belongings or anything like that, we buy offline. I'm not a big shopaholic for personal stuff. I just buy what I like. I have certain brands I always buy. I have certain shirts or hats or shoes that I buy in certain places. If I do go out, I only go to the same place. I change up my business, but for personal, I just like to keep it simple. I've even got like 3 of the same shirts, believe it or not, that I'll rotate on wearing sometimes too. It makes life easier, I guess, for me. Less stuff to think about personal life. I've just got my family to worry about and then my business. So, where are we at here? Hang on, my chat just bounces all over the place. Hang on just a second, where are we at? Thrift shop hustler. I wish I was ungated in DVDs. Yeah, the only way you're going to get ungated in DVDs is either pretty much be grandfathered in or have an invoice. That's why I say when you go into one niche in, say, DVDs, it ungates you in the whole category because there's no specific like subcategories like you see in eBay and stuff. So, again, Christian religious music, Christian religious DVDs got us in. I'm giving you a plus there. There's something, a lot of people aren't going to tell you their ins, but that was my in to getting ungated into many areas on Amazon. I was an altar boy, believe it or not, years ago, and we've got some friends who sang at church who had some Christian CDs out. There's sources in your own town, I almost guarantee it. If you want to know how to find some of these places that might sell and that might be able to get you some invoices, look up Christian radio stations in your local town too. That's a good plus because a lot of the performers are local. They do church specials and things like that. They perform locally and they produce CDs as well too. And you're going to be getting them from a wholesale deal when you do that. So just take that in consideration. The goal of being an Amazon seller is to get invoices, wholesale deals where you don't have to fight and you can list the same item over and over and over and over and over and over again. I'll stress that over again because I would rather make one big purchase and be able to sell it with one listing, no hassle. I send 500 in at a time to Amazon. I send 100 into Amazon. Whatever the case may be, somebody else does it all. I've got all that extra free time to do eBay. I've got the extra time to do Etsy. I've got the extra time to do some of the designs we're working on. She's been writing something. We've got some kids' books that we're probably going to have self-published. I'll be doing the artwork on them. We've got a Kickstarter that she's the two of us are working on that with some artwork. A lot of the postcards that I have, she's written all the poems on the back. She has, I'm not going to brag on the wife, but she English wise, she's like the bomb and
she does good
in English. If I ever needed something proofread, she was the one to do it. And everybody asked her whatever, even the whole class at some point it seemed like.
Come on.
But it was a lot of people. But she's proofread everything, and You know, the proof was in the pudding when she proofread one of my theses, and it made it through the first review with only a small amount of corrections. If you turn in some, like a thesis or something, it's going to come back with in a different color. It's not going to be white anymore. It's going to have red and yellow stuff all over it the first attempt. So anyway.
So where are we?
I think we are on estate sales in our area. Overpriced the first day, second and third days. You might find some deals.
Oh, okay, I see.
On stuff like that, I wouldn't say everything's overpriced the first day. It depends on what you know in categories. Like, I buy stuff that's usually cheap no matter what. I buy stuff that I repair. I buy stuff that I do stuff with that. I touch on some of this in my Patreon group. I show some of the inside of what I do in Patreon. If you're not familiar, shoes, so to speak. Yeah. Shoes are good at some of these places too. I don't mess with shoes as much.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the really expensive shoes.
We've had some decent ones you can get some decent ones there, and people do miss the shoes at some of these sales. So I guess they're usually not tennis shoes you're going to find.
They're Crocs.
Yeah, they're going to be high-end dress shoes, alligator skin, or some odd, bizarre shoe like that. Those are the only ones we've made a ton of money on. I don't mess with tennis shoes, and I know there's some good money being made in it. I'm just not my thing. I don't like clothing. I won't.
Never more antiques. The more I sell, the more I want my own store.
Yeah, I don't want a brick and mortar store, but I'm happy with going the route of having our own website, our own online store, where I can just put everything I want on there without ever having to worry about, where it's at or anything like that. Now, we're going to have to get software to do that, only because I don't want to have to manually pull stuff down all the time. If I'm going to run everything in my own website, I would have to pay, and it's like $1,500 a month. So we're right on the prefaces of getting to that point.
You're doing great.
I'm doing good. There we are. But I'm almost to the point where we're going to take that jump, just because we've got some other avenues. I've got other ways to push my items besides just eBay. I know some other people who have their own website, and they make a couple $1,000s now a month on their own site. They've got a name for it. There's not a fight. There's it's an easy rolling on money and stuff like that. So
right here, Land Shark Picker.
Well, thank you there, Land Shark Picker.
T-Basher.
I don't have the app on T-Basher on the phone at all. I mean, I have it on my phone. I just turn it off.
You've forgotten it a couple of times, and it's woken me up.
Once or twice, but for the most part, I don't even leave that on. I don't really care if it's going off anymore. I know a lot of people sit there and leave it on so you can hear it and stuff. I keep mine off because most of the places I go, I don't want them hearing that, and I forget to turn it off. So I keep it off. It's always on vibrate. In fact, it's vibrating right this minute, actually, right this second, and it's probably going to be best offer right now. But anyway, the point of it is that I keep it off. I don't worry about it. I don't care if somebody hears it. I keep it off so I never ever mess up and walk into a store and they can hear cha-ching, and the price goes up when you're shopping in some places when they hear that. And she always has to tell me shut it off all the time.
Annie brings up a good point about Goodwill. They do job training and placement for people.
Yeah, they do that here. That's exactly right.
I hadn't even thought about that.
That's
but you're
exactly
right.
That's exactly right. And another offer. Yes, I mean, offers come in. I don't honestly even look at it. If it vibrates, I usually don't pay attention. If my kids are here and the wife is here, I usually don't even pay attention to the phone, honestly. I'll just pop in because we're here. Somebody's here checking on these offers 24/7, almost, it seems like. There's like 6 hours at night that, I sleep, believe it or not. Other than that, there's someone always near a computer. We always accept it. I would just keep it off if it was me, personally. Everyone can get online and see what things are selling for, even churches, so no use complaining, just find a different way. That's exactly right. We just find some new item. When clothing was unavailable, Savers closed down. We had already started to work away from clothing. Savers prices were getting too high. They're fine if you're going to wear the items and stuff.
Savers was the they had T-shirts there with holes in it
for
$5
like
and
$6. Yeah, $7
Are you
even.
Serious?
Yeah.
But I still love Savers. I could always come out with stuff that I was keeping, at least. I mean,
yeah, we always found something at Savers, even if it was something useful,
Yeah.
even for business, to use for business and stuff.
And masks, really neat masks.
Yeah,
for the
she's
wall.
got a mask collection here too. Yeah, we just move on to something else.
Yep. And then thrift shop hustler church sales are fun. Some of those people, though, they'll elbow you till you're black and blue, so you gotta watch out.
Dixie Girl 999. It depends on what you're photographing. Like here, you can. Here's another option. Like with some cameras here, you can set the lighting differently. Like I've got a Nikon D5300. I've got about 50 different settings, and I can set it to actually do photos in low light. And then as long as the photo of the item itself is good, I can turn it into a PNG just like that, and then the background is gone. I can auto select just the item as long as there's a white background, and then it'll brighten up, and you'll never know that it was dull on that photo. If you don't have something like that, or you're taking on a phone, put a couple light bulbs, just a tabletop lamp or something close enough. If it's clothing, you need to have some bright lights. There's just no way around it. We've got like 3 sets of lights, so I have 2 areas that we can photograph in at any given time, just because, you never want to be not being able to take light, proper lighting, proper photos at any given time. I have stands that are always set up that I can just instantly set something on there, take a quick photo, and have it listed in just a couple of minutes. Literally what I do all the time. I've got wires to plug my camera straight to the PC, so it automatically is on my PC, and the whole set. In fact, the Nikon, it's Wi-Fi, so I can literally Wi-Fi it to wherever I want to.
Carl.
I know you know postcards, but is there any money in old greeting cards in your opinion? I'll start with there, and I'll look at the rest in a minute. I sell greeting cards just as much as I sell postcards. Victorian greeting cards are the best. I sell Christmas cards that date back to the 1850s. The
and
older Valentine's one. She loves some of the old ones that we get here.
Well, some of them are just so odd.
They're bizarre, yeah.
It's kind of like a nihilistic Valentine's and stuff. Those are the really oddball ones.
The weirder they are, the better.
Yeah.
Christmas cards in general do well. And the number one company that I look for, and I've said it before, I've said it many times, is Raphael Tuck Christmas cards. Always net us a real good return investment. Yeah. The average pre-1910 Raphael Tuck Christmas card of any kind, as long as it says Raphael Tuck, I don't even care what the graphics are. I get $10 or better for every one. The average price is $30 for a Christmas card, 1910 or before for Raphael Tuck. Marcus Ward's another one I always look for. Hildebrandt. There's like 5 or 6 good companies that made good Christmas cards that we look for. I buy Christmas cards all the way up into the 50s and 60s. Remember the Santa Claus in the spaceship?
Yes.
I got a box of Hallmark for $2. It had, I think, a dozen Santa Clauses in a spaceship, and I still have 1 or 2 left, I think. And I sold those cards, and they're from the 60s, mind you. Hallmark 60s Christmas Santa Claus cards. I sold 10 or 11 of those for $45 a piece.
But the really oddball
ones.
Yeah.
Santa in a spaceship, Santa in a balloon, Santa doing in a World War II Santa Claus driving or piloting a combat plane sells. Those are like $20 cards, no matter what.
And he's got a second part.
Yeah, I'll get down there. I've got some great ones, but hard to figure out price. Almost want to list some for 20 with best offer. Dumb. Not at all. As I said, I've sold modern day 1960s Christmas cards in the $45 range. I've sold some for more than that, in the $50 and $60 range on modern day Christmas cards. When you're looking at Christmas cards, watch out, because some Christmas cards are from famous people, famous places. I've had a presidential one before that we got a lot of money for. It was a facsimile signature, but it was still a limited number, $30 on that one, and that was from the 80s. I've had some from like companies like Lucasfilms and things like that. Even new ones go for a ton of money. So whenever I see big batches of cards, I can usually get them cheap. I can usually pull out a couple cards that are worth $15-$20 and make enough to pay for the entire lot with one card, and then the rest is just fodder I can play with and see how it goes from there too.
Your kids sound awesome. Well, I mean,
they're ours. What do you expect? Yeah.
And then Carolina picks, my wife loves to read, so she will go, but I have to buy her books. You can buy some really good books there.
I have quite a few art books.
Anne Rice autographed
We've had three autographed Anne Rice books from Savers. Autographed. I've gotten a Stephen King autograph from Savers.
And then I found a hard book, first edition, Hunter S. Thompson, the Great Shark Hunt.
Yeah, we got that one.
But that's mine. I'm not selling
that.
Yeah,
she snagged that one too.
That is my personal book. And when he was talking about the wolf shooting.
Thanks, J.I. too in the background.
Oh.
Yeah, a wolf chewed through they're the steel bars that are about like that big. I don't know time frame how long it took, but when that wolf came up and sat on me on the sofa, I mean, when he was sitting, the top of his head was over my head when he was sitting on my lap. It was a big I would gather, if you ever seen the giant poodles, it's bigger than a giant poodle. There's a poodle that can stand up, and it put his front paws on my shoulder when it was standing up. It was 7 foot tall, probably standing up, a poodle, mind you. This thing was bigger than that and more intimidating. I've never been intimidated from an animal. I've never had an animal that much in my face, that close to me, that big before, I guess I should say.
At least it was friendly. Duncan.
eBay sales have been through the roof. Today was a little slower, and I was actually glad because I got some stuff done for the first time in like 2 months now. I've got a bunch of stuff done that I've been procrastinating on. I mean, we still hit our daily average sales. Yesterday, I was trying to pack up, and we have to pack up on several stores, so you can't do them together. I know I could go through a third party, but we don't want to mess with that. And my ticker kept going off. I kept selling stuff, and I almost was to a point where I was irritated because I didn't want to. I hate when it's just a few minutes. Our cutoff time's 11 o'clock. I hate when you got somebody paying at like 11:10, 11:15, because I feel guilty sometimes because we used to have it at 1. Our post office has changed the time frame and all this sort of stuff, so it's 11, and I usually try to push it to 11:30, but it kept going off, and I figured, well, I'll accept it, and maybe they won't pay right away, and they did. So lately, I don't even accept them until after I've shipped everything and actually printed my master scan sheet.
That's very nice, Thrift Shop Hustler.
Well, thank you. Glad to hear that. Thank you.
Right here.
Most universities run surplus stores and auctions. Yes, they do. Those are usually pretty good places. Hang on just a second here.
You want some coffee?
No. Once before, we got some book jackets, dust jackets from books from the 40s. They came from a school depository, that was the wrong word, depository for books, and they were all original first editions. We made like $6,000, remember all those? In one day off of these dust jackets.
I liked the illustrations.
The artwork was awesome. I still have a couple hundred of them.
I wanted to keep almost all of them just for the artwork, but I mean, I can't.
Those are the number one place that we find to get that kind of stuff. Dust jackets are the bomb. Yeah. We found them 3 or 4 different times before. Once we figured out where they were at, I guess is to see. So I'm giving you a bolo place to look for. Those actual surplus stores or surplus university, even the grade schools are awesome. I promise you. We have always made good money, whether it be vintage, even some of the school supplies. We made some money on some of the pencil sharpeners when they closed down. There was a school down here called DeVilbiss. My father actually graduated high school there years, obviously, ago. I got the pencil sharpeners off the wall for a couple bucks a piece. I bought 40 some of these from the entire place. I got $40 on average a piece for the pencil sharpeners from the actual surplus sale when they closed down the actual school. So that's just a perfect example of things that we do. I always say look outside the box. Most people don't do that.
Right here.
Hey RVA, how you doing? Check out RVA if you like going into RA and stuff too. He's got a pretty good channel on that. They do cover that as well. Right Newbie here. Learning, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it, Michael.
Oh, and Evan.
Yeah, I don't think Craigslist Hunter. He's been on our channel. In the chat before too. I've watched his. I honestly don't have much time to watch. There's a few that I usually turn on in the mornings. Bearded Picker is one of them. RVA Flips, and they're usually playing in the background while I'm packing up and stuff. So. That's about all that's available on when I'm here. I don't think Pete does a whole bunch. I have some, I love the accent because my mom's side is Polish, so I used to hear that accent around the house and stuff, but I do like Craigslist Hunter as well.
Period piece.
Period piece. Would you say FBA is worth it for books? Yeah, it still is. $3 to $5 per book. I expect as much as I can get. Back in the day, you could make a ton of money on cheap books. You could get $2 or $3, $5 on a book. The storage fees were nothing, so that's why it was a big plus. We'd pull up a couple carts. You'd get a cart, I'd have a cart, and then we just scan the books. We'd pull them off, cart them, scan them, and put them back if we didn't want them. That way, no one else could come by because it was a game. Yeah. You'd have to fight sometimes with the book scanners at Savers. They'd constantly be there doing that.
Yep.
But for book-wise, I try to shoot for higher dollar ones. I try not to list anything unless I get quantity of it. If I'm just buying a couple books and let me put it this way, if it's a high ranking one, I'll buy it no matter what. Because that means it's going to flip really quick. If it's going to be 20 books that I might get $3 for, but it's ranked hundreds of thousands or million ranking on the book, it might not be worth it. If it's a high dollar book and it's ranked high like that, I would mess with it personally. I don't mess with low end stuff anymore unless it's mass quantity. Let's say I bought 1,000 jars of some food product or something, and I'm only going to get 60 cents profit per jar, but they're all going to sell. I'm going to do that thing, but I'm not going to sit there and peddle books that I may only make 60 cents a dollar on each, and I'm only getting 1 or 2 of those. It's just not worth the time for me to even print up a label. $3 to $5 used to be a great profit when you weren't paying the storage fees and such for. So, if that's your bottom line, fine. And if you know they're going to sell and flip quickly, that's fine too. But if you're new to the game, you want to get stuff that's going to flip quick. You don't want to be hanging on to money because you're not going to have the income. We can sit there and shell out $5,000 or $10,000 to buy one big lump sum of something. The other day when we bought those records, I was going to go up to $5,000 on them. So you got to build yourself up to that. And until you're to that point, you're going to have to flip stuff as quickly as you can to get your money back so you can buy more stuff. You got to get out of the stage to where you've got the money and you've got a slush fund and you've got expense accounts and things like that. That's the only way this game works, where you can buy big, massive quantities of stuff to get your costs down. The lower the cost, the better you are. Just like buying pallets and stuff. Buy them when you've got the money to invest, because it may take you time, to get some of that stuff up and get your money back out of them. So,
Right here. Carolina Picks.
yeah, they're turning off, like where we're at. My Wi-Fi only will broadcast in the house. You can turn the signal broadcast down on the Wi-Fi. I do that so people can't roam on the street and pick up signals. In college, I took safety. We actually roamed on campus, condoned, just so they can show us what to do and stuff. You can pick up someone's signal from out in the street. So a lot of places like that will turn it down just so you can't look up stuff, so you'll take a chance and buy it. That's my personal opinion, because once you get in the store past the doorway in Savers Boss, your phone went dead. We were at Dirt Cheap, same thing in Mississippi, and it's a big place to RA and to buy big, massive quantities of stuff at Dirt Cheap.
Legos at Dirt Cheap, if you get
Legos is the bomb at Dirt Cheap.
It's great. I mean, it's worth just buying up all the Legos.
But they turned off the phone. I had to walk up to the door I don't know how many times just to get a signal in the building, and I was so PO'd because I know I'm trying to make money off these people, but the point was that I'm going to spend a ton of money if they got these items. But every time I found an item that was, borderline, I'd have to go up and go to the door and scan it where I could get a good signal. They do that on purpose, I promise, because at the book sales, they'll tell you no scanners, some of them, and some don't say no scanners, but there's no way you're getting a signal out of there. There's blockers and things you can get for Wi-Fi, believe it or not.
Well, the person at Savers who was in charge of the books, he even stipulated that they did that. So
see,
they couldn't. Yeah,
you can't look up items.
Tired of everybody. Right here, Jamie.
I love all your videos. Been watching sellers on YouTube for a while, and you just popped up on my feed. Well, thank you. Glad to have you.
Oh, apparently we're from the same area. That's nice.
Well, you can drop me a email from Facebook here. I do go and pick occasionally. We've talked about having a meetup. I just haven't done anything like that here. I'd be happy to take a group of people to a mall or something if somebody's interested. I can show you kind of in person what I look for.
I tried to.
Yeah, it always does that.
Okay, nope, that's not it.
Yeah, our feed just bounces all over the place. Yeah, you got to be very careful. And we're running down on time, and we're way off on answering questions.
All right.
You got another super chat, by the way.
Hang on just a second here. We're way off on questions. I'm sorry. I know I'm long-winded on talking. I don't want to miss any. Well, Carl, I thank you very kindly for the $10 super chat. It's people like that helps fund it. I've got a Patreon channel, and everybody on there helps as well too. Again, thank you very much, Carl. I really honestly appreciate that. Let me see. I'm running out of time here. I guess one of these days we're going to have to do a longer show.
That blinker noise is our clock.
Somebody say something on
Yeah,
that?
it says it sounds like your blinker is on. It's the clock up there on the wall.
I mess around with fixing up clocks. It looks like we just went out of
sounds
focus
like your blinker
here.
is on.
Hang on, folks. I'm going to try and get the focus back in there for just a second.
Oh.
Yeah, we got blurry. I got a little too close to it here. Is it better now? Yeah, that usually takes what it's taking. Hang on, let's try and jump down here. Yeah, most people don't leave reviews on Amazon. That's why we don't get them either. Yeah, thrift shop hustler. You have to have massive quantities with the invoice. We bought, I think our first run, I think I bought like 1,500 religious CDs, and it was a pretty big investment. It was one of the biggest ones we had at the time. We didn't know if we were gonna make any money back off of it, but it got us ungated, and we ended up making a ton of money off of it. Sometimes you got to risk a ton of money, which I don't really like to do, but it got us in, and it made the difference in the world. It was a big difference. It was like night and day. Hey, Pat D's, how you doing? There's Aaron again. Would you ever purchase an established eBay or Amazon account? No, I'd only do my own. It's cold outside.
Poor lady sitting in the cold. And my dog is right here.
I love the different graphics on the backgrounds. I mean, I might drive some people crazy, but I love that. I get into the artsy.
Should be sitting on the moon.
Yeah, I actually found a moon
lawn
one
chairs.
here too. Marrakech 7, thanks. We're gonna have to cut it off here in about. We got like 4 minutes. It looks like here.
Do you go out and thrift still?
Yes, I do. We're actually going out maybe tomorrow thrift storing or next week on Tuesday. There's only a few around here, and they're a long drive. They're not really here. They're like an hour away.
If I was filthy stinking rich, I would still love to go thrift
Yeah,
shopping.
we would still do it either way.
To me, it's like treasure hunting.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I just get a big kick out of it.
Let's see if we can get a few more questions in here. Annie, when you buy stuff to get invoices and get ungated, do you have to buy a large quantity? I think, I just answered that. I don't know if everybody does, but we were going to, for wholesale deals, let's put it this way. There's a minimum quantity you have to buy for almost every wholesale deal that was out there. And the minimum on the CDs, if I remember right, was like $1,000 or 1,000 units as it was. And I got a cheaper rate on them by buying 1,500. So, and it's a smaller company. We took a shot. They actually got a little bigger as time went by. The Christian music's a different group. A lot of people don't even know who famous Amy Grant, maybe everybody knows, but most people don't know who most of them are. So we took a shot. We got lucky. And then we figured out how to do the invoice issue. You might have to send in a couple different examples. You might have to send in a note with it. You might have to send in insurance statements or things like that, possibly too. I cover all bases. I sent extra stuff and they didn't even ask for.
Need to head down a little bit.
Well, let me see. Does the company you buy from have to be an LLC? The company that I buy from is actually a corporation, and I've got 3 or 4 that we buy from routinely. I don't know what it would technically have to be. I know what I am, S Corp we moved into. Well, thank you, Carl. Hey, Cindy. Alan Edmonds shoes. I'm assuming that is a brand. Yeah, Shopify I've looked into. That may be the option. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, search engine optimization, Annie, that is correct. I may do that maybe as a paid service. I don't want you to do a bunch for me for free, Annie. I push my own site URL in all my package slips and throw in a biz card from all my eBay and Etsy sites. Drives many customers and I save money on fees down the road with repeat. That is true, Carl. That's one of the reasons. We're on 9 platforms now, so I was hesitant to jump out there, but at this point with our son still having some issues, he's got some other issues that have arisen from this, so yeah. At this point I'm going to try anything we can. So we're right there on the borderline of getting it running right now. It's still up in the air. I'm not rushing into it because we've got the toy thing just starting. In June, I've got a toy show that our stuff's going to be at in New York City, which is one of the biggest ones in the country. So it's actually an international show as well. So I might get something from that. I may not have to go other routes. I don't know yet. I'm going to wait till June, maybe, we're thinking. I don't know. We've been going back and forth on that for quite some time. I think we're actually going to have to cut it off here. I do apologize if I haven't gotten to everybody's question here. If you have any more questions, you're welcome to put them down in the comments section after the video is over. I do look at all the comments. I'm not as quick on those. I do look at the ones on Patreon first, obviously. Facebook, I know I'm a little behind, but I will be on Facebook tomorrow if anybody has anything else on Facebook. Patreon, I try to at least look at every day. Facebook, it's every couple days, and YouTube's kind of iffy. I try to get on every day when I post, but I don't reply to everyone every single day. But at least a couple times a week, I reply to every single question that I get to the best of my ability. Sometimes it's a really brief question, but I do my best. I get hundreds of comments and questions and emails these days compared to what I used to get. So anyway, I appreciate everybody being on today. New content coming out. I've got a video ready to go up right now for tomorrow, so be on the lookout. I've got some more haul videos coming out. Again, I've got the video coming out on making your own Victorian stuff. It's big money in it. This is a $100 item that you can flip constantly around Christmas, so it's coming out. It's going to be for anybody to see. It's going to hopefully give you some good ideas. Again, I hope you all have a good evening. Hope your sales are doing good, and we will let you go.
Bye.